Sitting under the studio lights of a local television show, the mother of three is perfectly composed. She smiles warmly as she promotes a self-published children's book about navigating sudden, devastating grief. She has packaged herself as an inspiring, resilient widow, guiding her family through the loss of their father. It is a flawless public performance, because while she talks to the cameras about healing, she is actively hiding a catastrophic $8 million debt and the toxic substance she used to orchestrate her own tragedy. In the quiet community of Francis, Utah, Eric and Kouri Richins were raising their three young boys under one roof. By 2022, they had been married for nearly 9 years. To the outside world, Kouri projected the image of a perfectly happy marriage and a thriving real estate career. But behind closed doors, the reality was fracturing. Both Kouri and Eric had quietly consulted with separate divorce attorneys. At the same time, Kouri's finances were collapsing. She was bleeding cash, harboring up to $8 million in catastrophic debt. Her house flipping business was failing, and she was forced to pay 4 separate payday lenders $2,100 every single day just to stay afloat. To keep the illusion alive, Kouri utilized her husband's power of attorney without his knowledge, extracting a $250,000 credit line on his premarital home. The target of that theft was 39-year-old Eric Richins. He was a devoted father who showed up to family dinners wearing his signature Under Armour sweatsuits. Sometimes he arrived completely sockless and shirtless, rushing straight from emergency mechanical stops just to see his boys. But Eric noticed the missing funds. Upon discovering the theft, he quietly met with an estate planning attorney to secure his assets. He established a blind trust to protect his life's work from his wife, naming his sister Katie Richins-Benson as the sole trustee. While Eric tried to secure his boy's future, Kouri was looking for a way out. She focused her attention on a handyman named Josh Grossman. She questioned her new lover about his combat experience in Iraq, texting him to ask if he had ever taken a human life and how it made him feel. Meanwhile, the massive debt was finally catching up to her. Kouri needed an immediate cash injection to survive, and nearly $2 million in her husband's life insurance policies sat waiting. She just needed a tragic cover story. Eric thought he had successfully protected his family's future by quietly locking his assets away in a blind trust. He was completely unaware that his wife's extreme financial desperation was about to bring a fatal dose of fentanyl into their bedroom. Kouri's mother, Lisa Darden, was heavily involved in her life, and she carried her own dark history. Back in 2006, Lisa's romantic partner died of a suspicious oxycodone overdose. She was left as the sole beneficiary of her estate. By 2022, Kouri's own marriage was beginning to mirror that chaos. On Valentine's Day, Kouri served her husband a celebratory sandwich. The meal quickly devolved into a medical emergency. Eric broke out in severe hives and struggled to breathe. He frantically injected himself with his son's EpiPen to survive. In response, Kouri simply recalibrated her dosage, acquired more potent narcotics, and prepared to try again. On the evening of March 3rd, the couple sat in their home. Kouri's mother, Lisa, was also present at the house that night. The couple was celebrating the impending closing of a $2.9 million property known as the Midway Mansion. Kouri was funding the purchase entirely with high-interest borrowed money. She mixed her husband a Moscow Mule. This time, the cocktail was secretly laced with an illicit, overwhelming dose of fentanyl. Eric went to sleep, and his system began to shut down. At exactly 3:06 a.m., Kouri's iPhone was physically unlocked and illuminated, but she did not seek emergency help. She sat in the dark for a full 15 minutes. She waited until 3:21 a.m. to finally place the call. That 15-minute delay directly contradicted her claim to dispatchers that she had just woken up, found her husband cold, and instantly panicked.
What's going on? I was sleeping in with my kids. I just came in the bed and I turned over and he's just cold. He's just cold. He doesn't have a pulse. I can't move it. It's just dead weight. Like it's just... You're not, if he has sheets under, pull them to the floor. Don't worry about hurting him. Start pumping the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second, and 2 inches deep. 1, 2, 3, 4.
During the call, Kouri claimed she was aggressively performing CPR chest compressions, but data extracted from her phone's proximity sensors showed the screen remained continuously pressed against her ear. Prosecutors would later argue this data proved a physical impossibility. She could not hold a phone against her head and execute rigorous two-handed chest compressions at the same time. When first responders finally rushed into the home, they found Eric unresponsive. Eric Richins was officially pronounced dead at 4:58 a.m. Kouri stood in the doorway in her pajamas. She was visibly weeping, but she made no move to comfort her 3 sons or approach her husband's body.
What's your first name? What's your first name? Yeah, let me talk to you for a second. Let them do their work in there. So what happened today?
We had a drink together at 9 to celebrate something at work tomorrow.
Okay.
We went to bed. I went to bed with my kids. He went to bed in our bed.
What alerted you to him today, right now?
I just crawled over on his side. Oh my God.
When Eric's sister Katie rushed through the front door, the physical contrast between the 2 women was unmistakable.
Where's my brother?
He's in this room.
Do I see my brother? I am his everything. For his will, everything. I'm his power of attorney. I'm his everything.
And you don't have to
Go
worry
upstairs.
about that kind of stuff right now.
Upstairs with the voice. Go upstairs with the voice.
Natural, okay? Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Katie was hysterical, immediately asking to console her nephews while Kouri kept her distance. Police secured the house and removed Eric's body. By 8:29 a.m., with the sun now fully up, Kouri unlocked her phone and began scrolling. She stopped to view a meme of Donald Trump, staring at an image captioned with the words, "I'm really rich." In the aftermath of her husband's death, Kouri was not immediately charged. Instead of keeping a low profile, she wrote and self-published a children's grief book. She proactively applied to appear on local television, using the media to shield herself from suspicion.
Talking about loss with kids can be a tricky subject. Joining us now is author of Are You With Me? Kouri Richins, to share her 3 C's to helping kids cope with grief.
My husband passed away unexpectedly last year, so it's March 4th was a 1-year anniversary for us, and he was 39. It completely took us all by shock.
And Kouri, do you mention at dinner, here's Dad, or Dad would like this meal, or Dad would, let's bring Dad on a bike ride?
Yeah, exactly. And it's, explaining to my kids, just because he's not present here with us physically, that doesn't mean his presence isn't here with us, and he's doing these things with us. And it's just comforting to them to know that, they're not living this life alone.
You are an amazing woman and mom, and we thank you for being vulnerable and sharing this and touching the lives of others.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here.
While Kouri was sitting under the studio lights portraying a resilient widow, the investigation into Eric's death was quietly accelerating. A review of her digital and financial records began to contradict her claims. Forensic accountant Brooke Carrington dismantled Kouri's entrepreneurial image, uncovering the catastrophic $8 million debt. Carrington showed that Kouri burned through a $1.35 million life insurance payout in just 3 months, leaving a mere $800 in the account. The financial motive was clear: but the physical evidence required a digital map. Analyst Chris Kotradimos extracted data from Kouri's phone and uncovered a trail of deleted internet searches. He found Kouri looking up instructions on how to remotely wipe an iPhone, along with specific searches for luxury prisons for the wealthy in the United States. To track down the actual drug network, detectives hired Todd Gabler, a veteran private investigator. Over his 34-year career, Gabler had worked 100 homicide cases strictly for the defense. But the contact logs and financial anomalies he found in Kouri's records were so damning, they eventually compelled him to testify for the prosecution for the very first time. Gabler conducted a meticulous contact weight analysis on Kouri's cellular billing records. He flagged her housekeeper, Carmen Lauber, as one of her most frequent contacts. Given Lauber's criminal history with narcotics, the connection pointed investigators toward a drug supply chain. Detectives followed the network and pulled in Robert Crozier, the illicit dealer sitting at the top. Sitting in the interrogation room, the nervous supplier quickly realized he needed to put distance between himself and the dead body.
So we're here to talk to you about a transaction that you made a little over a year ago with a female named Carmen Lauber that Nicole put you in touch with. You met her at a Maverick and Draper on 2 separate occasions in February of last year, so a little over a year ago. She said between 20 and 30 pills both times.
Okay. Then probably it.
You remember going to that Maverick and Draper? Were you living down there at the time, or?
She lives, I want to say she lives pretty far away.
So it's kind of ringing back, you're kind of getting a little bit more, well, tell me what you can remember about her.
I remember Nicole calling me and saying, hey, can you be my friend? And I was like, yeah. So, and then she was like, oh, she wants a lot. And I was like, all right.
Is 30 a lot for you, or is that a lot for Nicole? Or?
I think it was a lot for Nicole. It wasn't a lot for me, but
okay.
I was like...
When you say she was with an older guy, do you remember about ballpark how old he would have been?
I don't know, 50s probably, basically.
Just a quick hand-to-hand.
Yes, there you go.
And you just said about $600 or so of what you could charge for those.
Something like that.
Okay.
Crozier's nervous statements corroborated the supply chain. He flipped on Lauber, who eventually confessed to acting as a drug mule, purchasing fentanyl on 4 separate occasions directly at Kouri's behest. On May 8, 2023, deputies finally arrested Kouri Richins and formally charged her with aggravated murder, bringing her 430 days of freedom to an end. But her manipulation didn't stop behind bars. Jail investigators soon located a 6-page handwritten note hidden in her cell. The walk the dog letter explicitly instructed her mother to coach Kouri's brother into fabricating a story about Eric secretly buying pills in Mexico.
Here is what I'm thinking, but you have to talk to Ronnie. Eric told Ronnie he gets pain pills and fentanyl from Mexico from the workers at the ranch. Eric told Ronnie he keeps them in an allergy pill bottle in his work truck, so I wouldn't find them. Eric finally told me and asked if Carmen could get him some. Eric never wanted anyone to know he had an issue, especially get caught. When they traveled, Eric would put his drugs in Kouri's bag at the airlines right before they boarded. Eric couldn't ruin his image that he had drug issues, so he would do whatever he had to. Reword this however he needs to make the point. Just include it all. The connection has to be made with Mexico and drugs. It can be short and to the point, but has to be done. Tell him I need him to do this. Bring me home and then we will get those damn bitches. Also, please text Lotto or call. Tell him do not text me anything about us doing things together ever. Like church, skiing, trips, nothing that puts us together. It doesn't look good. Hang in there, we're almost there. Love you to the moon.
The turning point arrived in the first week of the trial. The defense team tried to legitimize that exact Mexican fentanyl theory, suggesting Eric was secretly self-medicating and the drugs absorbed over a long period. The prosecution systematically dismantled that narrative, starting with the physical drug chain. Housekeeper Carmen Lauber took the witness stand. Wiping her eyes with a tissue, she testified she was currently 4 years sober, specifically because Eric's death hit her so hard.
I already knew Eric had passed away. But when they had mentioned that it was from an overdose, that hit hard. At first, it took a minute to process everything.
Did there come a time when she asked you for the Michael Jackson stuff?
Yes.
What did you understand the Michael Jackson stuff to mean?
I actually wasn't sure. I had to Google it.
Did you ultimately meet up with Robert Crozier at the Draper that second time?
Yes. Same routine. He'd come up to the car, I'd give him the money, he'd leave again for 20, 25 minutes, then he'd come back. And then he'd give me the little clear baggie with pills in it, and then we'd go our separate ways. I reached out to Kouri and asked her what she wanted me to do with them, because I didn't like having them on me.
What did she respond?
That she would come pick them up.
Where did she pick them up?
She picked them up in my house, in my driveway in Heber.
Following Lauber, Dr. Brianna Peterson from NMS Labs took the stand and completely tore apart the defense's medical timeline. She testified that Eric's blood contained 15 nanograms per milliliter of fentanyl, 5 times the 3 nanogram minimum lethal threshold. She then delivered the crucial physiological evidence.
The client requested that we perform an alcohol and drug screen on the gastric fluid.
And did you do that?
Yes.
Following that screen, did you get positive results for which you subsequently performed confirmatory tests?
Yes, so ethanol was detected at 279 milligrams per deciliter. Quetiapine was detected at 16,000 nanograms per milliliter. Fentanyl was detected at 20,000 nanograms per milliliter. Norfentanyl was detected at 52 nanograms per milliliter, and acetylfentanyl was detected at 29 nanograms per milliliter. The assumption is that 700 milliliters of gastric was homogeneous, so that the concentration was consistent throughout the entire volume, and that the sample that was sent to us represents that 700 milliliters as a whole. The presence of it in the gastric contents does provide the interpretation that one route of administration was ingestion.
So here you said we had 15 nanograms per milliliter of fentanyl in the bloodstream. Did I get that right?
Correct.
All right. And fatalities for fentanyl, there's a fairly large range of what could be a fatal dose of fentanyl. Is that fair?
Correct.
All right. So a much lower dose could cause the death of someone. True?
Lower than 15? Yes.
Yes. And in some people who have some tolerance, it could be a higher dose than that before it would be fatal. Fair?
That's correct.
The prosecution also hammered the ultimate professional irony of the case. Kouri used a self-published children's book to package herself as a benevolent, grieving author. She treated the book as a public relations shield after intentionally murdering the father of those very children to cash out his life insurance. Chief Prosecutor Brad Bloodworth drove the stark contrast home during his closing arguments.
The 911 call operator asks her to perform CPR. She is not immediately trying to revive him. We're going to run a clock from the time that the dispatcher asks her if she can start CPR to the time she purportedly starts it. It's 6 minutes. If Kouri Richins is following the instructions of the 911 dispatcher, Eric Richins' body is on the floor on the side of the bed, not the foot of the bed where it was found.
Are you able to lay him on the floor or the ground? On the floor on the ground? I can't. I've been shaking. I can't touch him. I can't. You need to calm down, okay? He's yellow. We need to help him. I can guide you through CPR. Okay, he's on the floor. He's on the bed. Okay, are you able by any chance to move him on the floor? Tell me when he's on the floor. We just need to help them now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count out loud so I can hear you. I'm counting with you. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I can't move it. It is just dead weight. I pumped so damn hard, so hard, screaming at him to come back to life, that I needed him. None of that happened.
The defense attorneys tried one final strategy. They planned to introduce a man named David Norris to claim Eric sought out drugs. However, out of the jury's earshot, Judge Richard Mrazek issued a warning. He explained that introducing Norris would legally open the door for the prosecution to show the jury damaging text messages. The messages showed Kouri was actively trying to buy fentanyl. Faced with the judge's warning, the defense returned to the courtroom and abandoned the strategy.
I think it was probably the right call on their part. Really, all you do when you put on a defense, unless you have something that really is going to carry the day, is you allow the state just one more opportunity on rebuttal to get more negative things out about Kouri. I think in this case, they actually held a lot back. And so the defense kind of called their bluff a little. When you put the defendant on, it gives the state the opportunity to cross-examine them. And you lose control really quickly of, what road they're going down and how things go. And so in a lot of cases, we don't put the defendant on the stand for that reason. I think they ended on a really good note yesterday. I don't think there was a lot from the Detective O'Driscoll's testimony that was really inflammatory.
The jury digested the digital and financial evidence and required just under 3 hours to return a unanimous decision.
Ms. Richins, it is my practice to ask all the lawyers and the defendant to stand in respect for the jury as I read the verdict. Counsel, Ms. Richins, please stand. Count 1, aggravated murder. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Kouri Richins, is guilty of aggravated murder. We, the jury, unanimously agree that the prosecution has proved the following circumstance or circumstances regarding count 1 beyond a reasonable doubt. The homicide was committed for pecuniary gain. The homicide was committed by means of the administration of any substance administered in a lethal amount, dosage, or quantity. Count 2, attempted aggravated murder. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Kouri Richins, is guilty of attempted aggravated murder. Count 3, insurance fraud. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Kouri Richins, is guilty of insurance fraud. Count 4, insurance fraud. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Kouri Richins, is guilty of insurance fraud. Count 5, forgery. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Kouri Richins, is guilty of forgery.
Sentencing fell on what would have been Eric's 44th birthday. During the hearing, Kouri spoke for over 30 minutes. She maintained her absolute innocence, telling her sons to never apologize for something they didn't do.
My sweet baby boys, I know that today you don't want to speak to me, have a relationship with me, or you may think you hate me, and that's okay. I will never be angry at you for your feelings. When the day comes that you're ready, I will be here for you, waiting for you, and loving you. But I need you boys to know and understand that I have been desperately trying to get in contact with you any way that I can for years. That all of my communication has been completely cut off from you since early 2024. And now I will use any opportunity I can to get a message to you. Even if that means sharing it publicly to the world, fully restrained, in my jail clothes, in one of the most horrible situations possible. I don't care, and I'm not embarrassed or ashamed by any of it. All I care about is you boys. Secrets diminish self-respect. They lose trust. They make us lose ourselves. I fell in love with someone who wasn't your dad. Your dad fell in love with someone who wasn't me. I did things behind your dad's back. He did things behind mine. Don't keep secrets. Always put your spouse first. Your dad and I didn't always do this. But don't be like us in that aspect. We made mistakes that I know I regret. And I'm sure if he were here today, he would say that there are a few things he regrets as well. Marriage takes love. Big love. Deep love. But you can take accountability when you mess up. Admit when you make a mistake, even when it's embarrassing or humiliating, even when it can ruin relationships, careers, or your integrity. Be honest with yourself and those you need to. But never apologize for something you didn't do. Never admit to something you didn't do. And never beg for mercy for something you didn't do. Don't take the easy way out. In a perfect world, there might be justice. But in a perfect world, nothing ever goes wrong. Tragedies don't happen. Some think a verdict or this sentencing will be the answer that they seek or that they need, but it won't. It will only give them something else to think about for a while. And just because someone may not be perfect, that's a far reach for them to be capable of murder. To kill someone. Our someone. Your dad was in physical pain. And just because some people didn't know or didn't want to see certain things doesn't mean they weren't happening or they weren't true. He would have never left us intentionally. I've always been here. And I will always be here. My cards, my letters, they will never stop. I will never stop. I love you forever, Mom.
But the children delivered a very different reality. Through a therapist, 13-year-old Carter noted his mother was frequently drunk and had previously threatened to kill his pet lizard. In a statement read to the court, 11-year-old Ashton declared his mother took his dad away for no reason other than greed. He added that she only cared about herself and her stupid boyfriends. Through a representative, 9-year-old Weston told the judge he would feel happy, safer, and relaxed once his mother was securely locked away. Looking down from the bench, Judge Mrazek summarized the reality of the Valentine's Day rehearsal and the lethal dose that followed.
Kouri Richins was convicted unanimously and beyond a reasonable doubt of attempting to murder Eric Richins, her husband, and the father of their 3 children. And then, having failed in her first effort of spending the next 17 days, not changing course, but doubling down, preparing to try again, and ultimately completing the act. And for what? Money. The court hereby sentences you to life without parole.
In addition to spending the rest of her life behind bars, Richins was hit with consecutive terms ranging from 1 to 15 years and up to 5 years for her financial fraud and forgery. The 3 surviving sons now reside under the full legal guardianship of Eric's sister, Katie. At sentencing, she told the court, "In the place of a stable, secure, and loving home, Kouri gave the boys permanent trauma. There is nothing Kouri will not do, and no one she will not hurt to achieve her own selfish ends." Kouri spent months parading her manufactured grief on television to sell a book. But the true parent in this story was the one she eliminated. In his final weeks, Eric Richins quietly built a financial wall to shield his 3 boys from the chaos consuming their home, leaving behind the legacy of a father who put his children first until his very last breath. Thanks for watching FactFaction. If you want more investigations that follow the evidence, hit the subscribe button.